The new patch in Guild Wars 2 came with a lot of new story, not only in the main story, but also outside in adjacent stories as the Record of War collection. And it actually gave us a very good insight on what Kryptis are like, how they came to be, and how they have experienced the war. Let's talk about it. Subscribe channel for more content on this, and let's get into it. So, all of this information that we have now in here that I'm going to show you is from the Record of War achievements. There's a lot of, dialogue in between characters, and also a lot of gameplay. But honestly, the gameplay doesn't really have anything to do with what they actually are saying about Kryptis or the about Neos either. So I'm just gonna skip through that and just go for the actual things that they say. And we're gonna go for each of the records of war. And there's actually one in particular that I'm very interested in, and what you guys have to say, as it actually kind of hints of where Kryptis came from, and it's not very clear. So we're definitely gonna get into that. First, we're gonna start with a record of knowledge. For this collection, we first have to talk to Epipharos in the main waypoint. In Neadra's rounds, and he says, is that look of warrior Tyrion? I served the lady Peitha. What has it been like to fight alongside Tyrians? And that's what we ask, and he says, I'm a warrior, and an ally is an ally. Regardless of how unsettling smooth they are, I judge my comrades by their strength, not their appearance. So it's actually very interesting, as, yeah, I guess his Kryptis really find our smoothness, our skin very weird, as much as probably we find their skin very weird, as it's so spiky, and so that's actually, I think, very, very interesting. I think, and we're gonna get more into that. Have they been accepting of you? We ask him, and he responds, mostly I think they are frightened of me, though I can't really understand why. If I wanted to kill them, I could do so at my leisure. That I do not must prove that I am a friend. I suspect how easily you could kill them is contributing factor. Yeah, I think that's what it is. You see that, they're very menacing and they could kill you at any point. And even though you say that you're friends, and, I'm sure that you are, your allies, the fact that you could kill them instantly definitely is probably something that the humans don't really like. Especially considering the fact that a lot of the Kryptis have killed their fellow friends, their fellow wizards. An interesting possibility. How very strange. Still, I will consider it. Perhaps there are ways I can soften my countenance. Or maybe they can, hide these facts, or maybe they can be like a bit more reassuring on how much of an allies they are. Maybe a little bit of emotional support from the Kryptis would be nice for the wizards. Then we say on a different topic. I'm just gonna talk about something else. Oh, is it difficult to fight against your fellow Kryptis? That's actually a very interesting question. No, they have been fighting me long before you appeared. Is this the execution of my own, not an act of aggression? Is the destruction of our homes not an assault? This war merely brought it into the open. And I think that's very interesting, as, we can say the same thing about humans, like we are the same, but we still have wars all the time. It makes there's no really a reason why the Kryptis will be different than us in this regard. If they are against each other and they think, Epipharos and our side against Eparch thinks this is the best for their species, and the other ones aren't, you're just gonna have to fight them. There's nothing else to it. Still, you probably had to kill some who were once your friends. And Epipharos responds, indeed, I take no joy in this. I wish instead that they would see the future. If they would stand aside, no harm would come. But if they raise their horns in battle, what choice are we left with? And that's, like, I think, pretty sad, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense. As I said before, this is what we think it's best, and it's what they think it's best, and there's nothing else but to fight against each other in this regard. Then we have to go to talk to Archivist Morwen. We have to do a little bit of an achievement before. I don't actually know which one it was. I think it was killing something with Sky Skulls, but it didn't really matter as much. We talked to them and said, Wayfinder, a pleasure, how may I assist you? And we ask about, have you been able to learn more about the history in Neos? And they respond, a great deal. The Kryptis live so long that some of them have first-hand accounts on ancient events. It's a great advantage over similar research we've done in Tyria, which is very interesting. Maybe after this is all done, we can actually get some information about things that we didn't know about Tyrian history, maybe, same things that we as players might not know about either. And the Kryptis have been willing to talk to you, eager, even in some cases. It's sometimes since anyone cared to ask their history and culture. Yeah, whenever you have a war, probably have that. Yeah, you probably not thinking about history too much. They wanted to survive and are happy to share it. Talk to them yourself. They have fascinating stories. I agree. Honestly, these collections have been very interesting. I would like to ask something else. What's the most interesting thing you've heard? One told of the time when Mosin was alive and how the Kryptis made art of such color and brilliance that he couldn't describe it. They once adorned their temples with paintings 100 feet tall. Very interesting. So it does seem like they were, they had like a very highly advanced civilization, I think. Very interesting. That would have been something to see. And I guess maybe, hopefully we do eventually. And I think that's what they talked. And maybe sometimes, yeah, exactly. We'll get to see again when the war is over. They speak of the past with such reverence and with the hope that they'll return someday. I hope so as well. It sounds a little bit like, they're opening it up after this expansion. Once we are kind of done with that park, and maybe we can come back eventually to the same, to Eneos, but, restructure, rebuilt. Maybe the capital of the Kryptis before Eparch took everything and was a dictator. Maybe we can actually get, some look into very high structures with very, very colorful structures. Even though Kryptis are very, like, tame in terms of colors. It's very interesting to me that, or they change so much from that time, or they just go against completely what they are like into, doing some very, very interesting structures and colors. So Kryptis built all of these structures. Strange, isn't it? Some look so much like Tyrian designs, and yet different, like they saw them through a dense fog, or like they saw them in a dream. So we say, precisely, which I guess is literally what happened. At least if all the stories are true, what a strange way to build a civilization, by peering through a shroud at the shapes of the other ones. I'm guessing that, them traveling to Tyria, or maybe seeing them through dreams, right? These these places are kind of connected, made them, giving them some ideas in how to structure their stuff, right? We have seen in certain parts of Neos, you have seen that there's like literal houses that we would usually have in Tyria as well. Even the structures are, very human, very Tyrian-like. Maybe, even the temples. So it sounds very, very interesting, and we'll have to see how, maybe the next patch we get the Eparch's castle, and we can, we probably will see this again, similar structures to what we would have in Tyria. But we'll see for sure. And then we have a record of natural. When we talk to researcher Lani about what the Kryptis were like and how they evolved through time. Wayfinder, welcome. Sorry for the mess. You have some questions for me. And we say, what have you learned from the nature's creatures here? Now, Lani says, everything here has been in an arms race for millennia. Claws and fangs got longer and sharper, and carapaces become thicker and spiked in response. Competition for Neos scarce resources is fierce. Sounds like everything is dangerous then. What we say, and they said, very much so, but keep in mind that most of them are just animals without a spark of sentience. It's not their fault that they are the way they are. They adapted to the environment, same as we did. So essentially, because everything is kind of fighting against each other here for resources, they evolved into being very aggressive creatures, even the fauna. Very, very interesting, I think. I wonder how they were before this happened. How Kryptis were originally. Maybe way more smoother and way less horny. That didn't sound right. Okay, let's just continue. What can you tell me about the local plant life? Some of it is edible, if that's what you mean. I'll be careful if you're tempted to sample things, however, but that's more fascinating is how they developed in their absence of the sun. What do you mean? Well, plants in Tyria need a light source to grow, but in Neos, they seem to have adapted to use the latent magic in the land, perhaps. Oh, instead. Perhaps that's how these trees reach such an impressive size. So interesting, it seems like magic is way more important than the plants, than light, which is very, very interesting, I think. Fascinating. Let me get your thoughts on something else, though. Now we ask him, how has the war impacted them? War is never good of the local fauna. A lot of them have been collateral damage in combat, and more have been killed as food resources as food sources when other resources dried up. Will they bounce back after the war? It's hard to say. We still know so little about their life cycles, their reproduction, their migratory habits. I hope they'll recover. It'd be a shame to lose such a fascinating ecosystem. I mean, that's true. That's definitely true. And I wonder if they will, I wonder if they will change and be less threatening after all. I guess it will take a long time. A long time for them to actually change. They probably will be more, like, definitely hostile for probably hundreds of years, if not more, right? Now we get this little memory of a Kryptis that died in the Colosseum, the same one where you actually fight against in the meta, right? On the right side, you can see there's this little place, this little horn that has the memory of a dead Kryptis, and it says, as you pick up the broken horn, a flood of sensations fills your mind. Swell of anxious murmurs, pomp and ceremony, dread and resignation. Another shivers, race to the platform. The king calls out. None will speak from them. Guilty. Signals given, torn to pieces, screams, then silence. Viscera covers the stage. Crowd cheers. Another call. Essentially, it seems like there's, this is a Colosseum where people, Kryptis fight against each other for, for not even sport, for showmanship, for people to like watch them. And it seems like, the people that are, there's certain people in the audience that really likes it. It's like a ceremony, and they're happy to see it. And some of them that are, dread and resignation, they don't like it, and they know that there's nothing they can do about it. And of course, the people who are right there, fight, the Kryptos that are fighting against each other, they don't have any other choices but to, fight each other and one winning. And of course, this is the perspective of one of them that will eventually have to do it as well. And as seen of the fact that there's a broken horn, and they probably died too, which is very sad. But that's the kind of things that this the Eparch society kind of likes and enjoys watching. Now we have a record of war, the Celestial. And they talk about, especially, there's only one thing about this specific collection. It's only one journal that talks about an expedition from the wizards into Irenaeus. There were 8 of us that left to bring down the extractor. 8 of our finest. We set out to what passes for twilight around here. We stayed low, kept to the shadows, followed all of our covered protocols. I want the record to show that every soldier performed their duties admirably. I don't know when they spotted us, but they attacked us as we rounded the cliff edge. Maja, Jen, and Baiko were sent tumbling into the abyss, their screams swallowed by the void. By the time I had opened the portal, Aline was cut to ribbons, and Arnie was impaled on one of their claws. I remember the look of his eyes as long as I live. 8 soldiers left that night, 3 returned. The extractor still stands. Essentially just showing how much of a very harsh place Neos is, and how from one moment to the other they can just be all killed with no honestly reaction from anyone, right? The wizards are kind of powerful, and even though like just opening a portal probably doesn't really take that much time here for the wizards, and it still wasn't enough for them to be saved. Instantly, 5 of the soldiers just went down instantly, which very much sucks. Very, that's it's pretty sad. Next, we have a record of the obscure, and this one actually is the only one where there's actually a part of the achievement that is interesting, and there's actually something to be said about in terms of like gameplay. You have to eliminate Eparch spies. There's like this event where you have to like use this device to check in literal stealth enemies that you have to find and kill, and they're essentially the Eparch spies that are very close. Next one is a record of war, the obscure. This one is honestly the only one that has a part of the gameplay that may be a little bit relevant on the story. We have this event where we have to eliminate Eparch spies that are very close to the waypoint, and they're kind of stealth. We have to use this device to like find them and kill them. After this, we have to talk to Helod, this Kryptis that has been essentially kidnapped. Thank you, kind one. I will answer as I can. Yeah, he actually, when you get in, he thinks that we're gonna hurt him. He's a bit scared, as you can see here. Please just show me mercy, and I will do whatever you ask. And then we say, I'm not gonna hurt you. I just have some questions. And then they're like, yeah, I'm gonna answer. Can you tell me about what happened? And then they respond, I was taken by soldiers and accused of treason. I didn't do anything, I swear. They kept me in a cage with dozens of others. Sometimes they would take them through a portal. None ever came back. I'm guessing these are the ones that Eparch are consuming, because we know that Eparch essentially eats their subjects and another Kryptis to become more powerful. I'm guessing this is the case, right? This is essentially, they essentially get kidnapped, so just get people. They're accused of treason, but I'm guessing that they don't really have any reasons to do this. They just need someone, they just need Kryptis to be consumed, and this is how they do it, right? How did you get out? We asked them, and then it says there was an attack, fighting everywhere, fires raging. Something broke and opened the cage. Something like you, supposed to come with them. So I did. It was better than staying there. I mean, yeah, of course, I think so. And now they're kind of free, so yeah, I would agree. So I'm guessing that the wizards came in and saved this Kryptis, or maybe I don't know. Actually, it did say that it's something like us. So it cannot be. I was thinking maybe it could be Peitha, but I'm guessing it's not. It has to have been some sort of wizard. If you have any idea on who it could have been, maybe it's like a rogue wizard or someone else. Definitely comment it down below, and maybe you can speculate on who it actually was. Then we asked them, is there anything? Oh no, have they treated you well here? The rest of the Kryptis, and I'm guessing the wizards as well. There's food and warmth. No one has hurt me, and there are others like me. But even so, I'm sorry, but your kind are frightening. Please do not make me fight you. I am not a soldier. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, they don't know us. They're probably very scared right now, and sure, we're giving them food and everything, but I'm sure that they're a bit hesitant to, trust someone else after all that has happened to them. You don't have to fight for us. We just want to keep you safe. Then they said, I hope that is true. Thank you, stranger. Then we asked them, is there anything I can do to help? When I was taken by this king's soldier, they left my home to ruin. My father's horn was lost, the last connection I have to my family. Could you see that it's safe? I see what I can do. Do you know where I could find it? And then they say, they made us walk for so long. I remember crossing a bridge. It must have been the fortress, maybe there. And this is actually kind of an annoying one, because there's multiple spots where you actually can find the horn. But it's very interesting. It really seems like the Kryptis are very, very interested into the horns. It seems like it symbolizes a lot of I don't know. It's a very important part of the body, I guess. They always talk about other people's horns, and it does seem like, if this guy is asking for the father's horn, it must be something like something very significant for them, a symbol of who they were before. Then we give it to them, and it says, I believe this is your father's horn. And they say, you brought it to me. Am I allowed to have it? I can never repay this kindness, stranger. I feared it would be lost forever, and my family's memory with it. Sorry, I'm guessing that when they say family's memory, we have touched the other horn on the side of the Colosseum. I wonder if they can access some sort of the memories of the other Kryptis by just touching the horns. It is what happened to us, and we're not even Kryptis. I wonder if that's why it's so important for them to, get the horns. I think it's probably a possibility here. Then actually, I missed this footage, but we also have the another conversation here. We talked to a wizard's soldier about the Kryptis, Corporal Shiko, as you can see here, and they say, we talk to them, and they say, what has it been like fighting amongst the Kryptis? And they say, it takes some time getting used to it. At first, I definitely wasn't in favor of it, but I came around. Was there a specific moment that changed your mind? It'd be when Dorinas caught me before I stumbled into a Kryptis spike trap. I stumbled. If she had really wanted me dead, she could have just let it happen. and no one would have known she saw it all. So the Kryptis could have just been like, "Yep, unlucky for you, you stumbled into the trap. It's over," and they'd actually, but they saved them anyways because obviously they're their allies. They're, we are all their allies, and we're against the same thing. And I think, yeah, obviously that is probably a very important moment for the wizards, and to actually think, hey, these people are actually our allies, and they will not betray us, as soon as they can. It's hard not to care at least a little about someone who saved your life. It's probably not the only time she's done it either. Agreed. Let's think about something else. And then we say, what's your impression of Naos? They say, this place is harsh, really harsh. Everything we encounter wants to eat us, and one wrong step will have you tumbling into the abyss. Kind of explains why the Kryptis turned out the way they did. So they also are like essentially thinking, hey, maybe the way they evolved and the way they are and so aggressive and everything is because of how harsh this place is, because there's no other choice. Are there any bright spots? The sky is kind of pretty once you get used to it, and there's more that's edible than I would have thought. Still, I don't think I would want to live here. A fair point. Let me ask you another question. Are there any pressing problems here? Yes, there is my squad mate, Karina. She was killed in an ambush. We recovered her body, but her staff is still out there. Could you bring it to me? It'd be nice to have something of her left. And essentially we do the same thing that we did with Harold. We, instead of giving Kryptis the horn, we bring the staff to this guy, and he says, you found it? Everything they say about you is true, Wayfinder. Thank you. I don't know what. Thank you truly. So, I mean, they're very thankful about us giving back their friend's staff. I think that's, it's kind of cute. I mean, the least we can do, I guess. After that, we have Record of War Balance. The last one, actually, and this one is probably the most interesting one, I think. We talk first to Agathene. Oh no, yeah, we do definitely. Yeah, we talk to Agathene first. About Eparch and before he was a king. They say, oh, I was young then and can recall little, but I remember the speeches, the crowds, and the promises of a new world, and I remember the executions. The executions, they would march out a traitor, someone who had stolen from our kingdom or plotted against the people. They would eviscerate them, and the crowd would roar with approval. And then there would be another one. Only they weren't really traitors. Some of them were, of course, but most were merely inconvenient to the nascent king. By the time we saw the spider's fang bared above us, there was no one left who was strong enough to stop him. So essentially, Eparch used the excuse of, some traitors that might actually have been traitors to the nation to, also get rid of all the other ones who were against him particularly. And then after that, it was already over. He kind of won. It does seem like Eparch is very, very intelligent in the way that he does, in the way that he became a tyrant, right? He did it all on purpose with a, reason in mind. It definitely seems like it. Now let's start talking about what can you tell me about Nephus, the general that we actually became our ally at the end of the story, of course. There's a name I haven't heard in years. Nephus the Grand General, beloved by all. When the king's claws tighten on our throats, we turn to him to protect us, but Eparch is nothing if not cunning. So his insurrection failed. I'd never started. Eparch snuffed it out before it could burn. Most of those who would have supported Nephus were slaughtered in public. He was spared to serve forever as a proof of the king's mercy. So essentially, Eparch knew that this guy was actually, because he was so loved, he was actually dangerous for his plans. And, he did a very intelligent thing, which is like, yeah, he stopped the insurrection to stop everyone that liked Nephus in the first place, or, well, maybe not liked, but definitely the ones that were working with him. Then spared him to show, hey guys, look, I'm not that bad. These guys were going against me, and just because I know how much he cares for you, you guys care for him and how much he's done for us, we'll let him live. And essentially, using it as a beacon of, how good Epark is, I guess, and how forgiving. Very interesting, and kind of what he's doing right now, in some way with the. I guess he kind of did this with us after his queen sacrifices herself for him at the end of the story. Now, honestly, Epark looks very nice. He looks very, very like a good guy, I guess, because of what happened and what essentially Peitha kind of did. So it is kind of a scary one, I think, in how we are being perceived right now, with from the Kryptis, right? From the Kryptis point of view. And then we talk about with final moment. So we go into this, this tree after this, and we get this charred remains. And as we pick it up, a flood of sensations fills our mind. Acrid smells of smoke, flashes of blue and red, yelling and smashing, fear. Sky falling down, ground bursting, fire burning hot, anger burning hotter. Metal and flame in front, spine and sinew behind, warm dirt below. Huddled down into the earth. Can only wait for peace for the end, for my journey to the tree. And I think the top part is very easy to understand. Essentially, it's just talking about the war, fires, people screaming, sky falling down, ground bursting, fire burning, anger for the war and this happening in the first place. People that Kryptis dead, spine and sinew left behind, of course. And then he probably also dies, maybe burned as well, as it seems like there's a lot of fire here. And he says, huddle down into the earth, can only wait for peace for the end, for my journey to the tree. And this sounds very, very interesting, as it kind of mimics what Silvari believe, like the fact that you're gonna go back to where you came from the tree. And it kind of hints at maybe the fact that Kryptis also come from a different type of tree. Maybe not the pale tree that we have on Tyria, but some other type of tree. I'm pretty sure, for what I understand, the pale tree was kind of like a seed of Mordomont that was essentially cleansed by the Ventari, right? And it could have perfectly been the case that maybe a seed ended up in Neos, alright? And that's where the Kryptis came from. Or maybe it could also be that Epark in some way, before he was actually the way it is right now, because we do know that he came from the Wizard's Tower, and essentially maybe he experimented with one of the seeds. He might have corrupted it, and transformed himself into a Kryptis, and of course made the Kryptis appear as well. Maybe that's what happened. It's kind of hard to tell. We know that all of this here is very, as we said before, we know that the Kryptis civilization is very, very old, so I guess it doesn't really make that much sense as Epark came afterwards. It could also be that the Kryptis used to be one way, and eventually he corrupted all of them with the tree. It is actually kind of hard to tell, honestly. Or it could also just be that the tree just ended up here in the first place, and it kind of developed the Kryptis as they are right now, and Epark came later. It is honestly very, very hard to tell, but we do know, and it seems to be, like they do have this idea of what comes after death, of coming back into the tree, the journey to the tree. And it seems like it's a, peaceful thing, which is interesting because they're so, kind of, aggressive, and, they kill each other all the time, right? And they're always fighting. So it is very interesting that they had this, like, positive thing after death. I guess you kind of have to when you're kind of in these situations. And we'll definitely see if the next patch will have more information about this, but I think there's a lot of speculation to be had from this specific one line. And you guys can tell me what you guys think, if you have any ideas what it could be, or anything. At the end of the day, this is all that we have for right now. If I missed anything, you can definitely put in the description. Maybe I missed a dialogue from something that is not part of this patch. I'm sorry, not of this, well, also about this patch, but also from this specific collection. But yeah, it's very interesting. I found we got a lot of very interesting insight in what the Kryptis actually are, and I'm very happy with it. Honestly, I think it's very good. I think it's a very good collection with a lot of information, and I hope that Arena gives us more things like this. I definitely have a little bit of an issue with the main story being so fast in how it it does everything. I really would hope that we have this kind of stuff integrated into the story. Not to say that you have to go do something about the record of war in the middle of the story, but actually, forcing us to read certain things, or talk to certain characters before you move on, right? Or not force, but heavily incentivize us to do it. So you actually have some sort of actual time to develop your feelings for the characters that we're interacting with. But there you go. I think it's very, very interesting. Tell me guys what you guys think. Subscribe to for more content of this, and go to twitch.tv/with us to hang out off stream, to my Discord as well. And there you go. Thank you very much. Bye bye.